Curaleaf, it is a medical cannabis company. I mean, we're all over the world. In fact, I think we just started doing medical cannabis sales in Czech Republic. Yeah, we're expanding everywhere.
Wow.
In the state of Florida specifically, because I work with the state, we have 62 locations that are either, you can either shop there or delivering. But yeah, basically it's a cannabis, we distribute cannabis products from the plant. Now, people are used to hearing cannabis or marijuana and they're
Right.
thinking people smoking joints and getting high. But, when I got the job at the store, I said part of this journey is I also want to learn the science behind stuff. I want to learn about the products. I want to learn why we use certain things for certain ailments and reasons. And so there's so many products now and so many parts of the flower that are being extracted and used for health and wellness benefits.
Right.
So Curaleaf is basically a distributor of alternative medicine where people don't have to use the medicines that have been pushed down their throats for so long,
Yeah.
specifically for the pharmaceutical.
What is up, everybody? We are here, another episode of the Stay Tranquilo podcast. We're here at Vic Garcia Studios, and we got Matt from Curaleaf on, and it's going to be a hell of an episode today. We're excited. We got 420 coming up, so there's a lot of exciting things going on, but I think we got a lot of good things coming in this episode. We're going to talk a little bit about just the education around cannabis and kind of the current stigmas around it. We're going to talk about Matt and his journey with cannabis, and then some of the awesome events going on with Curaleaf that they have going on for 420. So before we get into things, would love for you to introduce yourself, tell them a little bit about yourself, the journey that, your professional journey into how you started working with cannabis and with Curaleaf. So, whatever you want to let the people know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm actually a Floridian. I grew up in Florida, Orlando. I went to school at the University of Florida. Go Gators. But when I graduated from college, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And my mom's advice was to make a list of things I was passionate about. So I literally made a list and, I had so many random things, but then she said, all right, now go through it and see how you can make a career out of something. Like, can you find a career? And I saw basketball, I saw community, I saw Orlando on there. And I said, I wonder if I could work for my favorite sports team, the Orlando Magic. Applied for an internship, got it, and that was the start of my professional journey. I worked my way up to assistant director level at the Orlando Magic.
Nice.
I ran basically all the entertainment at the game. So if you've ever been to a sports game, I did everything from the anthem and halftime, the guys shooting the $10,000 half-court shots,
Nice.
all the fun stuff
Yeah.
when they're not playing. And that was a super fun journey. I was there for 13 seasons. One year we went to the finals against the Lakers, Kobe Bryant. That was super fun journey.
Yeah, Magic had a nice little run there for a couple of years.
They did, and they're having.
And they're back right now.
I was going to say they're having a good year this year too. So that was the start of my professional journey. It was great. In 2018, they kind of rearranged some things at the organization, and I had to find a new journey. I actually decided to do the same exercise and make a list of things I was passionate about, because I think for work it's important to do something that you really care about. And in Orlando,
Absolutely.
I was Magic Matt. Being with the Magic was part of my identity. So I really wanted to find another career that I really felt the same way about.
Absolutely.
And I realized that cannabis was the way to go. Now, I didn't have any ins in the cannabis industry. I wasn't even really familiar how the industry worked. But I decided the same way how I started with the Magic with an internship. I was going to have to get my foot in the door.
So after assistant director level, you went back and basically
I got a part-time job at a dispensary.
Wow.
I applied at multiple dispensaries, and finally one of them gave me a chance.
And was it a Curaleaf?
It was, yeah. Okay. A couple of them told me I was overqualified, which, I probably was. But again, I was willing to start there because I wanted my foot in the door.
That's a pretty, I guess you could say, like, humbling experience, to say the least. But, it's cool that not many people can put their egos aside for a second and say, hey, I'm going to kind of almost start over in this journey, right? I've worked for 15 years in my career, and that path ended and that journey ended and that chapter of my life ended. But here I am looking to start something new, and you were willing to say, hey, I'll start from here and start from the roots and grow from there. And that's pretty admirable. Not a lot of people would say that they would do that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I mean, I at the same time I was applying for other jobs and I was interviewing at places, and I just didn't feel it.
Yeah.
And I to me, again, the passion is really important for me.
I agree.
Because I want to believe in what I'm doing.
100%. Yeah, I think people nowadays are becoming more aware of that, right? Where it's like your work life can also be something that you're passionate about. It doesn't have to be your ultimate biggest hobby in the world and has to be your job at the same time. But if you're going to be spending at the minimum 40 hours a week for the rest of your lifetime, essentially, right? You should enjoy it at some capacity, right? If you're waking up and you're miserable every single day, one, you have the choice to be able to make that change and say, hey, you know what, this is not for me. Maybe I go and I write a list of things that I'm passionate about and start at the bottom up, and look what it led to for you, right? Like I think that's something that a lot of people can learn from, because not a lot of people, they might be an accountant, or they might be a lawyer, right? Or they might be a doctor, all great jobs, right? But they're showing up every day and they're not happy, right? And I think that alone right there should be the trigger that there's a sign for change there.
And to be honest with you, the part-time job at the dispensary wasn't really financially what I wanted to start with.
Yeah.
But I supplemented with Uber at the time too, because I knew what I wanted to do and where the opportunity could take me. So.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I really admire that, and I think more people need to be able to do that, to get the life that they want, and take a little bit of a risk, because it is a risk, right? Like that, you don't really know when you're making that decision. You don't know if that's even the right decision to be making, right? I'm sure for you were like, it felt right, but in the back of your head, you're still like, damn, do I really want to do this? Like, I'm gonna take less pay, work less hours, become an Uber driver. Like, those are things that not a lot of people would say that they would be willing to do to get what they want.
I felt like I was at a place in my life where this was it's what I needed to do to make this opportunity happen. I also felt pretty confident that once I got my foot in the door and I was able to learn about the industry and get to know people, that I'd find some growth, which actually happened pretty quickly for me. I went from a part-timer to a full-time, and then I actually became an assistant manager of the store.
Nice.
And this happened more rapidly than the typical movement in an organization. I remember, though, there was a marketing associate that came in one day. We had just launched our new Plant Precision. It's a topical gel. And she came and she set up a table in the store and she put the skirt on and promoted and had all the stuff. And I was like, that's what I want to do.
Gotcha.
I used to, promote,
you were used to that world.
I used to promote the Orlando Magic in the community.
And I could promote cannabis.
So I told her, I said, I said, well, when she was done, I said, can I help you carry your bin to your car? And I did, and I introduced myself and told her my background. I said, this is what I want to do. I want your job. And she said, yeah, everybody wants to, gave me some advice, and I stuck with it, and now I have that position.
Absolutely, good stuff, man. So that was what year, 20?
There's a few, I'm going on about 2.5 years at Curaleaf, so about 2.5 years ago.
So 2.5 years that you've been with Curaleaf. So now that you've been with Curaleaf, can you tell us a little bit, what is Curaleaf? What exactly do you guys do? What is it that you guys stand for as an organization? I'm sure everyone's seen the signs, right? But it's a lot deeper than just like, hey, there's marijuana there, or there's weed there, there's cannabis there, right? Or there's some gels there. Like, there's a lot more to it, and I know you know that, right?
Oh, so absolutely. Yeah.
Can you tell everyone a little bit of what Curaleaf is?
Yeah, Curaleaf, it is a medical cannabis company. I mean, we're all over the world. In fact, I think we just started doing medical cannabis sales in Czech Republic. We're expanding everywhere.
Wow.
In the state of Florida specifically, because I work with the state, we have 62 locations that are either, you can either shop there or delivering. But yeah, basically it's a cannabis, we distribute cannabis products from the plant. Now, people are used to hearing cannabis or marijuana, and they're thinking people smoking joints and getting high. But, when I got the job at the store, I said part of this journey is I also want to learn the science behind stuff. I want to learn about the products. I want to learn why we use certain things for certain ailments and reasons. And so there's so many products now and so many parts of the flower that are being extracted and used for health and wellness benefits.
Right.
So Curaleaf is basically a distributor of alternative medicine where people don't have to use the medicines that they've been pushed down their throats for so long, specifically for the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest one is obviously the reputation around pharmaceutical drugs has been one that's not very great, right? I think there's a lot of people that have used them in the past and it hasn't been the best thing for them. And I know we'll kind of touch on that a little bit deeper, but it is good to see, right? You want to look for more holistic and more natural remedies, essentially, for whatever those issues may be, right? And you can kind of correct me here wherever I may be wrong, but a lot of the things that cannabis is helping people is there's the issues with PTSD, there's stuff with anxiety and depression. You have people with cancer that it's supposed to ease some of the symptoms when they're on doing their chemo practices, right? So there's a ton of research, right? And I think that's also one of the things that goes into this industry, right? Is how can we back this up with research behind it and prove to the people that, hey, this could actually be a solution for you, right? Just like anything, it might what might work for one person may not work for another, right? And I think that's a big thing too. And it's like there's no end all be all for everything, right? I mean, some things work, some things don't, and it depends on the person. But you always have to keep your options open, right? And I think that's where cannabis comes in. It's like, how can we facilitate this in a way where, hey, this might actually be for you. You might have this problem. You've tried everything. You've tried the pharmaceutical stuff. You might be drinking. You might be doing all these other things, right? But you refuse to try cannabis for whatever reason that may be.
Well, yeah, and a lot of times it's because it was against the law or there was a stigma around it, But you mentioned the research piece of it. Israel's been doing research on cannabis since the 1960s. So a lot of the current research comes from them. But, I think there's an opportunity for a lot more research and investments, especially here, especially if we go recreational.
100%.
I'm sure we'll chat about that at some point as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I mean, that's crazy. I didn't know Israel was doing that. But wasn't there a point where it seemed like research budgets were going to kind of get ramped up, and then I forget which president it was kind of took some of those budgets away for research out here?
Yeah,
I want to say it was like in the 60s and 70s.
Well, yeah, because there was the huge, just saying no,
right.
Drugs are bad. I want to say it was probably, I'm going to guess it was Nixon or Reagan.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of the cannabis stigmas stem from racism, and there's a history behind it. It wasn't called marijuana until they decided they wanted to make it illegal and try to keep people outside the borders.
Got it.
So, it was a cannabis or hemp product, and then all of a sudden, they started calling it marijuana, and then it became illegal, right? But I think there was other reasons behind that, and unfortunately, we got stuck without being able to use this miraculous plant for so long.
Right.
But now times are changing.
Yeah, no, it's a work in progress. I don't think it's not going to happen overnight. It's one of those things that maybe the more people you get in their hands and the more education is out there and there are more dialogues like this that you have, you hope to kind of shift that narrative out there. Really quick before we get into your story, right? What are some of the benefits that you've seen from maybe some potential, customers that have come by and some of the testimonials that you've heard from some people that maybe weren't using cannabis in the past and now are using it now? Like what are some of the things that you've heard out there?
Well, I don't know if I should talk about this later or not, but I will say one thing I want to mention is that a lot of people don't know is you actually have an endocannabinoid system within your body.
Okay.
So you are producing cannabinoids, but a lot of times you're not producing enough, or the production gets shut down for whatever reasons by medications we're taking or whatever's going on in life. So with that being said, the plant helps balance your endocannabinoid system. The plant has the cannabinoids growing within. So a lot of people are using it. We talked earlier about it, but a lot of people the biggest use I would say is sleep, right?
Okay.
People want help sleeping. So I think like the number one selling thing is like the indica gummies, right?
Gotcha.
People want something
Just
to
people
help
that
them
wanna
sleep,
go to sleep.
and they don't want to take meds. I mean, for me personally, I was not only on a sleeping pill at one point, but that pill gave me bad dreams. So then they said, oh, well, we'll give you something for PTSD. right? So now I'm taking 2 pharmaceuticals for sleep
Wow,
when
yeah.
I could be using this natural plant,
Gotcha,
right?
gotcha.
Anxiety is another big piece. I know you asked about testimonials. When I worked at the store, I used to work at the Lake Worth store in Florida. I had people that came in that told me that by consuming cannabis on a regimen with a doctor, that their tumors have gone away. Consuming cannabis and some of those cannabinoids, when processed in your body, create a really uncomfortable place for cancer to grow.
Gotcha.
And so that's one of the biggest benefits. I know we've heard about it with cancer, and a lot of people think it's to help stimulate the appetite,
Right.
which it can do that, right? Especially for people going through chemo and treatment. But it also creates, like I said, a very uncomfortable place for cancer to continue to grow. And sometimes people have told us that their tumors have gone away.
Interesting.
There's a lot of miraculous
You've heard, there's
stories.
a lot of stories out there of how it's worked for people, and again, it's one of those things like you don't know unless you try. And again, you obviously have to go to a doctor now and get this. Is prescribed the right word?
So it's actually called a recommendation.
Okay.
And actually, you touched on this earlier when you said people react differently and everybody's a little different. So they don't write you a prescription for specific things. They write you a recommendation to use medical cannabis, and then it's up to you to figure out which products work for your wheelhouse.
Gotcha.
Because everybody is different.
Okay, so then I go to a doctor, right? I get this recommendation that you should try cannabis, right?
Yep.
And then when I get this recommendation, am I receiving my medical card too?
Yeah, so what happens is you'll go to the medical cannabis doctor or medical marijuana doctor throughout in the state of Florida. You do have to see them in person for the first time.
Okay.
After that, right now, they allow telehealth, okay, to renew your prescription or your recommendations. Basically, if you have a Florida driver's license, you can walk out same day and be able to purchase. You're not it is HIPAA protected, just like any other medical prescription. You are HIPAA protected, but if you have a Florida driver's license, they can pull your information through the DMV to verify who you say you are.
Gotcha.
And you can start purchasing that day. The card comes in the mail maybe a couple weeks later, but as long as you have a valid Florida driver's license or passport, you're able to shop at Curaleaf during that time.
And then once you get your med card, you're able to go into the Curaleaf, and then at a Curaleaf, someone is there to kind of guide you on what is the right product for you?
Yeah, so every Curaleaf has a consultation room, and some people want to sit down and talk further about either what they have going on, what brought them in, or have questions about products. It can be a little overwhelming for your first time because there are so many options and so many strains, and then people are talking about terpenes. What are terpenes?
Right.
So we love being able to share that information and talk about the products. Again,
I think it's valuable.
The passion. Yeah.
Because I think there's the market that people will get their med card, they know what they want, and they'll go there, they'll purchase it, and they'll be done. And that's a market in itself. But there's a whole other market which is like the curiosity market, is what I like to call it, right? Where it's like maybe, right? Like maybe I can use this. Maybe I don't use it every day, but if I want to take the edge off one day and I want to go home and just kind of mellow out a little bit, maybe there's something for that person. Or maybe, like you said, I've been having trouble sleeping and I can't figure something out that works for me. Maybe there's something there. But it takes a level of obviously the curiosity portion, but also the education side of things, where it's like, I want someone where I know I can trust, one, and two, know that I'm getting a product that is safe, obviously, and two, that's gonna work, right? Like, I think that's the biggest thing, because people, like you said, are taking prescription drugs all over the place, and they're just handing them out like candies, right? Like that's how it feels like almost. But here they are, and they don't really work. And if they do, they come with 7,000 other side effects, right? So it's like, really pick your poison, right? And find something that does work for you. And I think more people that maybe want to make a transition to whatever that transition is are now going to be more inclined to know, hey, if I walk into a Curaleaf, I know I'm going to be educated, I'm going to be guided, right? And I'm going to be, there's a level of trust there that now I know that whatever I'm getting might actually work for me.
Well, and back to the trust piece of it, everything that Curaleaf produces is grown from seed to sale, right? So in the state of Florida, we're growing everything here in the state of Florida. The Department of Health is part of that process. They're checking the plants. They're going in.
That's awesome. Yeah, we saw that. That experience was crazy.
And then the plants get processed in a factory. And again, every batch of every single product gets randomly tested by the DOH. And that's how you know that you're getting safe medicine.
Right. I think that's the biggest thing too.
Yeah. I mean, they can track it from the seed
Yeah.
to the leaf.
Yeah, they have
flower.
the barcode that literally tracks it from the moment it's created to the moment
to
it's
sale.
to the store.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, but it makes sense. Like you said, there's nothing to worry about when you know everything's being tracked and held accountable, I guess you could say.
And then the other big piece, when they come in for the information, especially as a first timer, I'm really big on making sure people understand that they should be journaling or keeping track. You don't necessarily have to journal, but you should keep track of what you're using, right? Because sometimes we'll use products or we'll get a few different products. You may not remember how this one maybe made you feel,
right?
How long the onset time to hit you was. For example, certain gummies are good for falling asleep versus staying asleep. And then they're made with different technologies.
Okay.
So I tell people, and then a lot of times they're buying all these different ones. So take it, test it, try it, and write down how it made you feel.
That's a good valid point. I mean, if you're going to be doing something, you want to make sure that it's working. And if it's not working, why isn't it working? And then you go to someone like yourself or other Curaleaf employees that could say, hey, you know what? I know exactly what the problem is because you've been tracking it. We can say, hey, you know what? Try this. This might be a better solution for you.
Exactly. And it's important to keep track of your milligram dosage, right? Because everybody, like you said, reacts differently. So people do process differently as well. So it's important, like you said, to keep track of what you're using.
Definitely.
And then when you come back, you can say, hey, instead of coming back and be like, oh yeah, I had some pineapple, whatever, you have very specific. It's like, okay, right. You had this. All right.
Got you. Yeah, no, makes total sense. So one thing that we were talking about beforehand, I know you've had your own journey with cannabis. Can you kind of speak on how cannabis was introduced into your life and how you use it to today?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. So first time I ever tried cannabis was in college. I waited, or it was the summer going into college, and I liked it. The funny thing is, I actually wrote a paper on medical marijuana for my senior, it was like a final senior paper I had to do. I had never tried it before. I don't know if this is subconscious or not, but both my parents were teachers, educators, and I knew they were cannabis users, not super heavy, not in your face, but I knew that they used it.
Yeah.
But I also knew that they weren't druggies, right? They were very responsible professionals. So I knew that there was something with it as a medicine. I just wasn't 100% sure. I waited to try it. I tried it. I loved it. I became what they would call a pothead in college, right? I mean, I was smoking in the mornings, all the time.
Yeah.
Back in college, I didn't get to choose what I wanted.
Right.
I had very few options. I had, this guy, that guy, or maybe a friend of a friend.
And you're just trusting, saying, hey, this is what I got today. I got the sour pineapple. It's a hybrid, and this is what you're gonna get.
Oh, they wouldn't even tell you all that, man. Back when I was in college, I was getting seeds and stems, and I was lucky if it smelled all right.
Yeah.
I was lucky if the guy came back with the flower. A lot of times I'd give, you have to trust someone to give them money, and then they'd go, and then something happened.
100%. Yeah.
So with that being said, then I graduated college. I moved back to Orlando. I started working for the Magic, and when I was at the Magic, there was definitely a stigma around smoking in general. So I definitely kind of hid my cannabis use, but I was a user of it. Instead, it was a big drinking culture, right? I mean.
Sports is huge drinking culture.
Sports, the schmoozing, I was in marketing and entertainment. You were out drinking with people, and especially the arenas downtown. Everyone goes out after the games.
True.
It's just part of the
culture and the
culture.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I became more of a drinker. I kind of went away from some of my cannabis use to try to fit in with everyone and feel like I belonged. Well, that was not necessarily a good choice for me, because drinking led me to down a path of a lot of drug use as well. And, I don't need to get into the battle stories and war stories, but, I became an alcohol drug addict for quite a long time, and I hid that. I felt like I was almost living like a double life.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I remember sometimes coming home from work and I was like, should I smoke a joint and just chill tonight? Or should I have a beer or a cocktail and then go hard? And it's funny, I would make that conscious decision to go hard, knowing where it would lead me. Well, with all that being said, I eventually I went to a rehab program and down in South Florida, which I'm very thankful for, and I learned so much there. But they put me on a ton of pharmaceuticals. I think when I first got there, I was on, it was either 11 or 13 pharmaceuticals.
Wow.
It was shocking, really. Now, I understand I was detoxing and there was reasons to be on stuff.
Right.
As I moved through the program, they said I needed it was basically 6 medications that I needed to be on to maintain who I was. And, I continued to go to the AA program I found out that AA wasn't as much about not drinking, that it was more about thinking, right? So I had to learn how to deal with life. I was turning to alcohol and drugs for my solution to things, and that's not my solution. I had to learn to deal with life on life's terms. With that being said, all these pharmaceuticals to regulate me, I just didn't feel like myself. I also had gotten over 300 pounds.
Wow.
I was very unhappy. I was trying to live in the moment, but I wasn't very happy. Now, I decided to do some more research into the cannabis industry. I knew that medical had become a thing, but I didn't know much about it. So I started doing research as well as trying to get a career in it because I kind of I wanted to go all in. So I got my med card before I got hired by Curaleaf, and I started using some of the products. Within my first week, I was able to get off of two pharmaceutical pills.
Wow.
A sleeping pill and a PTSD pill, because I was having nightmares from the sleeping med and what have you. And this was just by taking a little gummy. And I wasn't getting high. I was just literally replacing my pharmaceuticals.
Right.
I also was on blood pressure medicine and anxiety medicines during the day. Again, I found some products through Curaleaf that helped take that edge off without getting me high. I was able to get off of 5 of my 6 pharmaceuticals. I only take one pill anymore. And even then, I've been talking to my doctor about tapering off because I've found that cannabis has helped my life so much. I lost over 100 pounds.
That's incredible.
Cannabis helped, a lot of people think that it's going to give you the munchies and make you fat and lazy,
Right.
but, my anxiety was crippling me. I would wake up in the morning and my body would be tight and tense. My head would be going a million. And and even when I took the pill that they gave me, it didn't really do much. Maybe it calmed me down, made me a little tired almost.
Right.
But then I started using the cannabis products and I started going to the gym and started going out for walks, and then eventually started jogging, and I got really into pickleball. And it wasn't, again, I wasn't using the cannabis products to get high. I was using them to literally medicate.
Right, yeah. And get you almost calibrated, essentially.
To balance my endocannabinoid system.
Yeah.
I was not a balanced person. And like I said, I lost weight. I feel healthier now than I did pretty much most of my life.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, you hear a story like that and it's like, damn, maybe there's something there, right? Because again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, people don't want to maybe make that decision, yet it might be the best decision for them, right? And I think more people need to I think there's a struggle where a lot of people are not very open-minded to things, right?
Absolutely.
And it's it's this way or no way, and people get stubborn in their ways. And it's not just with cannabis, it's not just with medicine,
politics,
it's with everything,
yeah.
right? And I forget where I was reading it, but there was I wasn't reading it. It was actually a Huberman Lab podcast. And he was saying how people that are more open-minded to things, have tendencies to be more creative. They're going to have more energy. They're going to be happier people. Why? Because they're just in that state of mind that it's not so rigid, right? It's not like if you got a square and you're trying to fit a circle into it, right? Like it's just not going to work. You got to kind of figure out what works for you. And through your own journey, you were able to figure that out.
Yeah, I think cannabis is important to, like I said, for me, it helps me stay mindful. It helps me stay grounded. It, again, like you said earlier, there's some people that just want to use it recreationally, get the high and go with it. And that's great for them. For me, like I said, it's been a blessing to be able to help me become the best version of me that I've been in quite some time. Yeah. And my family would all agree, my family thinks I'm healthier now and I'm dependable and I'm always around, and I'm definitely by far the best version of me I've been. Now, I do go to AA still because
Of
AA
course.
helps. AA to me is group therapy.
Yeah.
It allows me to go and talk about my problems or work through situations. But again, I don't have to talk about cannabis there. I go back to my rehab and I talk to the current patients. Again, cannabis isn't the solution to my problems. Cannabis is the solution to my medication problem.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
That's a really good put. By any chance, have you seen the show Louder Milk?
Love it. Very funny.
I figured.
Yeah.
It's funny, and the only reason I bring that up is because you see what that group is, like the AA group, right? And he leads that group, and it's almost like they become like a family, right? Like they are there, and they just want to go there because they know that they're going to be around a bunch of group of people. They're not going to judge them for anything, but they're there to speak their mind and speak their truth. And we should be able to do that with everybody, right? I think a lot of people are very just judgmental overall. And sometimes you kind of like put this shell on almost, right? And it's like, you're only going to peek your head out when you're around the right people, right?
Absolutely.
But,
and listen, not to bash AA, but AA was, we could talk about this on a different podcast, but AA was it's a book that was written in the 1930s, right? And it says no mood or mind altering substances. But again, they're really quick to put you on all these dopamine, serotonin boosters that are pharmaceuticals.
Right.
And those are 100%, in my opinion, mood and mind altering. So again, it's not being used to get high, but it's about that now we know you can actually medicate with cannabis and not get high and get off of these pharmaceuticals.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's something to be said that it definitely works. And again, if you go through these journeys, you do your due diligence and you really study and put yourself around the right people, to figure out what works for you, even from the smallest thing to sleep to the biggest thing, like having, an addiction problem. There's something clearly to be said about it. And you're one of many cases at the end of the day that have proven that it has worked, right? Again, it goes back to what works for you. And I think you have to put yourself in that mindset that, I'm going to give this a try and see where it takes you. I think it's something worth people exploring.
Well, and back to the open-mindedness, I do a lot of speaking engagements, especially at the 55 plus communities. We are finding that seniors are one of our fastest growing population of cannabis users.
I can see that.
And it's because they've been told their whole lives that it's a drug and it's so bad, the reefer madness, stigmas.
Yeah, they have pain issues, they have inflammation, they have so many issues per se,
and the pills aren't working. They're old enough now to be like, I've been trying this for so long, and their doctors are actually telling them.
I remember my grandma, right? She was on, and she took care of herself for the most part. She took care of herself later in life, right? She was always going to the doctor, making sure that everything was okay, and just making sure that she would stay up to date on the things. But she was on plenty of meds, and she still had the pains, and she still had stuff. And I remember having the conversation with her one day, like, maybe you should explore cannabis at some capacity, whether that was through a cream, right? I wasn't going to have her smoking a joint, but like, an edible of some sort, something, right? Like I told her, I'm like, maybe she should explore it. And I remember for her, it was like, there's no way in heck I'm going to do that, right? Like that was like how you said, like the elderly didn't think that way. But the more I talked to her and the more she realized like, hey, this isn't working, she became more open-minded to it. Rest in peace. She ended up passing away just of old age, but she became actually curious on the fact that like, hey, maybe this could work, strictly on the fact that what she was doing wasn't working.
Yeah,
I remember something.
I remember my nana, my grandmother.
That's why I called her nana too.
Right, so my nana was trying some remedy where she was soaking raisins in gin because it was supposed to be good for arthritis, right? I mean, it didn't work.
Yeah, that's when my grandma had arthritis.
But if only, I think she would be amazed, and I believe she would have been open-minded to try it if she was still around today as well. But I've given the topical gel, for example. I've used it on my knee, and other people have told me that they've used it for their arthritis, and within minutes, their pain in their hands has gone away. I believe that my grandmother would have been amazed by that product.
It would have been dangerous for her. Like, I need that all the time. Put it on my hand.
Yeah, and it doesn't get you high. So I mean, she would have loved it.
Exactly. That's awesome. Well, really cool, and I appreciate you for sharing that. I think that was a very insightful story, and I think a lot of people can learn from that, which is always, I think that's always powerful, right? Like we learn from each other's stories, we learn from each other's experiences. And I always think that whatever you can garner out of someone's journey, I think is powerful, because we all have our own journey that we walk, and we all have kind of the challenges that we face throughout life, and it's not easy, right? No. But you did your part, and I think that's powerful. Not a lot of people will do that, and I'm sure you had a great support system around you through that journey, which is also very powerful. You know, having good people and just kind of lifting you up. So I appreciate you for sharing that and you know, just telling that story. I think
again, I'm very open. You know, I don't have anything to hide. You know, my journey helped kind of shape who I am today.
100%.
But you know, even people that didn't have like an addiction problem, you know, how many people are just on blood pressure medication just from their genetics or their age or what they're eating, right? I was able to get off of blood pressure medicine, right? I mean, that has not, you know, by that's just big. Using some cannabis products. Big. So anyway. 100%.
But no, it's really awesome. I really appreciate it. But other note on some of the other things that we wanted to talk about today, obviously 420 is coming up, right?
Yes.
So what does Curaleaf have planned around 420 this year? And what's some of the things that you guys overall just kind of do for this holiday, I guess?
So 420 is like our national holiday. You know, it's a big, exciting day. The stores are all going to have ridiculous sales, right?
Okay.
They're already receiving, I can tell you now, I'm not going to tell you what, but they're receiving boxes of gifts and swag that they will be giving out at all of the Curaleaf stores. Really cool stuff, too.
Very cool.
I'll see if I can get you something. Or maybe come in and visit.
I was gonna say, well, I'll be at the pickleball tournament.
So pickleball. So what we decided was pickleball has been, you know, back to the health and wellness side of cannabis. We actually sponsored a pickleball tournament in Boca, and we realized like how many athletes out there are using cannabis, you know, and they were excited to see Curaleaf sponsoring a sports type of event.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we decided let's hold a little pickleball. I wouldn't call it a tournament. It's more of an activation. So
pickleball playing.
Yeah, we're bringing out a pickleball court. We got custom pickleball paddles we'll be giving out for free.
Nice.
We have food trucks, we have music, we have local artists and vendors. You know, we're big on trying to get some of our local artists and community vendors to come and pop up and be a part of our Curaleaf family as well.
Very
so that's going to be a super fun. We're actually going to do that for 2 days. That's a 420 weekend extravaganza. 420 and 421 both. Cool. So
that's down in like West Palm area, right?
Yeah, it's going to be in the Palm Beach Gardens, Curaleaf. Okay. So it's right off of North Lake. Is the road. And again, it'll be 12 to 7 both days. It's open play. We're looking at doing some instruction. There's going to be some practice courts. So don't feel like you have to come and start, you know.
Yeah, go out there and try to win something.
You know, exactly. Everybody will be a winner. Let's put it that way.
Out there and have a good time.
In our Tampa market, we are doing an event with the Tampa Skate Park, which is going to be super fun. Yeah. So you go to Curaleaf, you get your goodies, and then you head on down to the skate park, and they're going to have some really cool, like a private activation there for any of the patients.
That's cool.
And then in Orlando, Central Florida, they have this cool spot called the Acre. And there will be a private Curaleaf puff and paint for any of our patients that shop with us and then come visit us at the Acre.
Very cool.
Yeah, so you can check them all out. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I think I got an Eventbrite link here, so I could share that.
Sweet.
And I'm sure it'll be on your guys' website. I'm assuming
we got it on Instagram and
Okay.
Join our email list. If you're not on our email list, you should definitely get on because we do a lot of our event advertising through there.
Okay.
You know, we're out in the community all week long, throughout the week.
Yeah.
These are big 420 events.
You guys do a lot. I mean, the little that we've been working together now, I've seen the involvement that you guys have in the community. It's pretty awesome to see. You guys get out there, you educate people, you let people know, you know, what it is that you guys do, which I think to me is the biggest thing, right? Like to get people to jump on board. It's just a level of education, which I think that begins with a lot of things that you do and that community outreach portion of it.
Yeah. So my job as a community outreach associate basically is not only, I mean, some people refer to me as like a pharmaceutical rep, you know, because I'm going to different physicians' offices. But, you know, again, the physicians, I don't need to sell them on what we're doing because they're already into it. They already know that cannabis works and they're already telling people about it. So I go visit the doctors, but a big part of it is just being in the community and swaying that stigma, you know. So sponsoring local, like I said, a pickleball tournament. We did 305 Day in Miami.
Yep.
We do Paws and Pints an event. You know, we did a seafood festival. So, you know, we're just trying to be a part of the community and be.
we're big in the golf space. So I know we've talked about maybe doing some Curaleaf and golf tournament or something around those lines, because there's a lot of cannabis in the golfing community too.
We did a little thing with a little PGA tournament.
Did you?
Yeah.
When was this?
Yeah, up in Palm Beach Gardens last year. I think last August.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a special like round robin type tournament. And yes, there was a lot of interest. They loved that we were the sponsor.
Yeah.
They said we were the best sponsor that came in. Usually it's some tech company or
Right.
investment company or Honda. But we were fun. It's about having fun and being professional
100%.
and helping the community.
Yeah, amen to that. Cool. So the other big thing that's coming up in the pipeline this year is the Yes on 3 here in Florida. Just high level, what exactly is that bill that's going to be it's going to be present on this year's election? So if you can give a little bit of context on that.
Yeah, and you'll have to forgive me because I don't know all the details on it. But the idea is that Florida has been trying to go recreational with the cannabis for a while, and there's a lot of positive benefits as to why, for the state, but also for the people. But we are a big tourism industry as well. So the number of people, I was at the South Beach Curaleaf today, and the number of people that tried to come in and purchase something,
just thinking that they can walk in
but didn't realize that you had to be a medical patient. So if we get to that point of recreational, it's going to allow for more people to be able to use the medicine. I think that basically 3 is saying that the state of Florida will now serve recreationally. We're definitely saying we got to move forward with this, right? The only way to progress is to continue with this, and basically it's following the same steps as other states, right? So they go recreational and then they make changes and they move forward that way.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to the whole thing, right? You on the recreational side, right? It's still for medicinal purposes, for the most part, if you're going to look at it in that lens, right? But now you can just walk into a store essentially and be able to purchase without a medical card, right? But it's still coming from a source that you can trust, right? I think that's the biggest thing for the recreational side, right? Because obviously the cannabis on the medical side, we went down that whole path of why it's so important, for certain people. But there's going to be the recreational side that's going to open up a whole new market where people are just going to want to, partake in cannabis. But you at least know that you're getting something good. You can talk to someone that knows what they're talking about, and you're getting it from a very reliable source.
And it gives people the opportunity to try before you buy, basically. Like, you don't have to get your medical prescription and go all in, not knowing that cannabis, a lot of people are nervous to try it for their first time. They're 80 years old and have never tried it.
Yeah, imagine.
So, maybe they want to try a little something first, and going recreational will allow for that. Like you said, it's still medicine. And to be honest with you, there's still going to be benefits to staying medical patients for a lot of users as well, So once you decide what type of user you want to be, whether recreational or medical, it's going to be out there for both now.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just the medical market, but how great it will be when we have the market open to everyone.
No, it'll be something to see. I know when we went to the factory, everyone was like, it's a great thing, but I don't know if we're ready for it, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to be purchasing cannabis.
But we're ready for it.
Yeah.
We're getting ready for it.
100%,
the state is preparing.
It's preparation.
Yeah. Like I said, it models the way that other states have kind of gone through the process. So we're on our next step.
Exactly. The next part of the journey.
So go out and vote yes.
Yes on 3. yes on 3. Oh yeah. All right, cool. So before we wrap it up, I wanted to just do a little quick rapid fire question brought to you by Curaleaf, and make it fun. Nothing cannabis related. Right. But if there was one meal that you could have for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Like the full meal?
Yeah, full meal, or specific food, but I would say meal. That way you're not limited to one item.
All right. Well, this may sound strange, but I really like beef tartare, raw beef. I like really good tartare with a nice quail egg yolk and some truffle on it.
Right.
That would be my appetizer, though. We'll just start with that.
Okay.
For the dinner, I also like a nice fillet or a nice cut of red meat, seared or Pittsburgh style, where it's still raw in the middle, but you have some nice flavor on the outside.
Okay.
Accompanied with a lobster tail, of course.
Can't go wrong with a little surf and turf.
Yeah, and I'm not a big carb guy, so for sides though, I am a diehard flash fried Brussels sprouts guy.
Brussels sprouts are good.
They are by far my favorite vegetable. I like them specifically flash fried with like a honey sriracha and maybe a little bacon in there, something like that. Yeah.
That's a pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, and then for dessert, I'm a big fan of a nice dark chocolate mixed with raspberry, something like that. I don't know what it looks like yet.
Yeah, that's around those lines.
Yeah.
For me, I'm a big steak guy too. So I feel like steak would be in there for me. The dessert one is a little tough for me because I'm a huge key lime pie guy. Love a good key lime pie. And but then again, I'm a sucker for like just like fudgy chocolate situation, so like a fudgy brownie with ice cream. That's one that's a toss up for me.
I will say I forgot my favorite dessert, and I'm sorry, but banana Fosters is my favorite dessert. The flambéed bananas with the brown sugar glaze. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good stuff.
I'll have it all.
Absolutely. Next question. You have one celebrity or famous person or just anybody, it could be anybody, that you could go to dinner with. Who would it be? Athlete, anybody.
That's a great question. I mean, I'm going to give you two answers because I lost my mom when I was in my 20s. So if I could go to dinner with my mom again, especially as an adult, and go over my journey, I would 100%.
Amen to that.
No questions asked.
Not a doubt.
I would say I actually have met this guy a few times, but I would say Shaquille O'Neal. And the reason why I was growing up in Orlando as a kid, that's what actually started my passion for the Orlando Magic. I think that kind of kickstarted my career with that. And he was a hero to me growing up. And so I would love to dine with my hero.
We gotta find Shaq and send him this clip. That would be sick. That would be cool. Shaq's one of my favorite people.
Oh, he's awesome.
He is like he's jovial. He's a smart business guy. Obviously, great, iconic basketball player. One of the best ever, and extremely giving. The guy checks all the boxes of like how someone would want to live their life. Also, coming from nothing was given to him. He's earned every single thing in his life. So I admire the hell out of Shaq, and I love how he just is always having fun through it all, right? Like even when you see, I don't know if you've seen some of his documentaries, but in the back in the day when he was young and he was always messing around. He was always having a good time.
Yeah, he's been a big kid for his whole life. His whole life. Now he's just like a bigger, older kid. But yeah, I like the Inside the NBA show that they do on TNT after the games. It doesn't.
I know.
It's so late.
The dynamic between him and
Barkley. They're just so good together, and I absolutely love that show.
Me too. Yeah. They make it. Those guys will go there and they will never take them off. And Ernie is a good compliment to them.
He's wonderful too. Yeah. I agree. Who's your dinner guest?
My dinner guest. That's a tough one. I think it would be a two-part question. I think it would be my grandfather. He died when I was young as well, and I never really, I would like to have a relationship with him at this part of my life, right, and have that kind of dialogue. But on the celebrity side, Shaq is a really good one. Like when you said Shaq, and I'm like, damn, Shaq is a good one. But I don't know. There's I'm not like a super fanboy kind of guy. I think.
Is there anyone's brain you want to pick?
I think like a Matthew McConaughey would be cool. I've always kind of like gravitated to his energy and kind of like the way he kind of goes about life. Bob Marley is another one that, oh my God, if that guy was alive, I would like to just sit with him, have a little spliff with him or something on the beach and just pick his brain. I would say that would probably be my guys. Unfortunately, they're all not alive, but I guess
those are good answers.
But yeah, Bob Marley is like a big inspiration
for
just
the way. Have you seen the movie?
Yes, I did. I saw it the day it came out, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. Some of the things I enjoyed. Some of the things I'm just such a big Bob Marley guy. I think I wanted it to be longer, and I think it was a little almost rushed, and I feel like we could have seen a lot more. Okay. But for the most part, I think they did a great job. The acting was great. The incorporation of his music into the movie. And showing the thing that I didn't know as much was the whole aspect of his wife / girlfriend, whatever you want to call her. Because
I haven't seen it yet, so don't give
you
anything
haven't
away
seen it?
now.
I thought you saw it. Okay,
Don't give it away now.
My bad. I thought you seen it. No, so I highly recommend watching it. It is really good.
All right.
It is really good. But last question of the rapid fire is, what's your favorite Curaleaf product?
Oh, well, that's easy. It's called Squeeze. So squeeze the day instead of seize the day. That is a drinkable THC product. And in fact, when I was just an employee at the store before I got my marketing gig, I created an Instagram account for Squeeze just as a fan.
Wow.
Because I love it that much, called Squeeze the Day. Like I said, it's a drinkable THC, but it's a fast-acting product.
Right.
So usually when you're ingesting THC, you process it in the liver. When you process THC in the liver, it usually takes longer to hit you because you have to metabolize
Right.
it. It lasts longer as well. I like someone that likes instant gratification. So what they do is it's nano encapsulated, basically water soluble THC. So it bypasses your liver and goes straight to your bloodstream.
So crazy.
You feel it super quick. So in fact, when I was telling you I wake up with anxiety and I used to be on anxiety meds, I use Squeeze in the morning. I mix it with coffee or a caffeinated beverage.
Interesting. So you have coffee with that?
Yeah, because I still need my uplift,
Right,
wake up.
Yeah, to wake up.
But because even though I'm anxious and I'm feeling tight and my head's like this, I still feel tired, right? Mm-hmm. It's the anxiety that makes me feel that way.
Of course, yeah.
So mixed with my caffeine, it just gives me the most beautiful wake up. If I have time, I'll go play pickleball or to the gym, like I said. Otherwise, I just go on with my day. And then I also don't drink alcohol anymore. So it allows me to go out to these social functions because, of course, like alcohol is still part of the community. So, when I go out with people to watch a game or the other places, they won't let you necessarily light up a joint at the bar. But I can bring my Squeeze and I mix a little bit with some soda water and it's sugar free. I get my nice relaxation going.
Very cool.
Hands down, best product.
Very cool. I gotta check that out. Cool. All right. Well, that about wraps it up. I think we covered everything that we wanted to cover today. So again, thanks for jumping on. I'm sure we'll do something like this again soon. And we hope to see you. We got a bunch of events coming up for 420. We got the pickleball tournament. If you're down here in South Florida, Tampa's got the skate park and the painting in Orlando. So plenty of things coming up. And we got a couple of things coming up on our end on the Stay Tranquilo side that we're excited about. And just happy to be able to do this today and share all that knowledge I think that we were able to share today.
Well, I appreciate you having us. We obviously like working with you guys, and we like working with the state. We like to be able to educate and communicate with everyone. So thank you.
Amen. Yeah, 100%. Well, cool. Appreciate it, guys. So make sure to follow Curaleaf. I think it's curaleaf.florida.
Curaleaf.florida.
And then curaleaf.usa for the national page. But give them a follow on Instagram. And subscribe to the podcast. Share this with friends. Share this with family, whoever you want. And we'll see you soon. Cheers.
Pass.